Welcome to our deep dive today. We're going to be looking at U.S. business immigration trends. And our guide for this is going to be Journey's U.S. Business Immigration Market Report for 2024. It's packed with all sorts of insights, and we think you might even be surprised by a few of them. So let's jump right in.
One of the things that I find really cool about this report is that it's not just theoretical.
Mm.
They use data from their own client base, and it gives us like a real world view of what's happening.
Yeah, and that's what makes it so valuable. I mean, it's like having a backstage pass to see what's actually going on. And speaking of exciting things going on, the first big takeaway is that immigration is back in a big way.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. The report shows that the U.S. immigration sector is booming. I mean, we're talking huge numbers here. $8.7 billion in revenue in 2023, and over 25% of that is coming from employment-based visas.
Yeah, it's amazing to see this kind of growth, especially after everything that's happened in the past few years.
Right? Think about it. We've got, talks of a recession. We've got all this global uncertainty. But the demand for, people coming from overseas with specialized skills is incredibly strong. It really shows how important immigration is to the U.S. economy.
Yeah, and the numbers really back that up. Over 10.9 million immigration applications were filed with USCIS in fiscal year 2023, and over 10 million of those were completed. It's a record high and a clear sign that, things are really getting back to those pre-pandemic levels.
Yeah, it's amazing how quickly things have rebounded. This huge surge in applications really shows you how much demand there is for U.S. visas.
Okay, so now let's kind of like zoom in a little bit here. Let's look at the non-immigrant visas, the ones like the E2, L1, E1, and O1. These are the visas that allow people to come to the U.S. for a specific period of time, to work or to invest.
Yeah, and while the L1 visa, which is for intercompany transfers, is currently the most popular, the E2 visa is gaining some serious traction. I mean, it's almost doubled in popularity since 2021. I'm actually seeing this trend firsthand with my own work as well.
Wow, that's fascinating. It's almost like this report is a crystal ball or something. And, while we're talking about trends, there's this interesting geographic pattern emerging. The report shows that most applicants for almost all visa types are coming from Asia, with really the only exception being the O1 visa, the one for individuals with extraordinary ability or achievement. Europeans seem to be leading the pack for the O1.
It really makes you think, I mean, what factors are driving these preferences? Is it economic opportunities? Is it cultural connections? It'd be interesting to dig into that a bit more.
Yeah, definitely. All right, so let's shift gears for a minute and talk about employment-based immigration, specifically the National Interest Waiver, or NIW. It's a way for highly skilled people to get a green card without having to go through the usual labor certification process, and it's really having a moment right now.
The NIW is so interesting because it's becoming a real game changer. For talented people who want to build a career in the U.S. See, the traditional path to a green card through employment usually involves this thing called per-em labor certification. And that can be a very long and complicated process.
Yeah, that's why the NIW is so appealing. It's a much more streamlined path.
Exactly. And the report seems to indicate that the NIW is becoming more and more popular. And part of that seems to be because of its flexibility and the Biden administration's focus on attracting people with skills in STEM. Science, technology, engineering, and math. Those are such critical areas for innovation and growth. And the NIW makes it much easier for the U.S. to attract the top people in those fields.
And the numbers are pretty wild. 43% of all employment-based visa filings in fiscal year 2023 included NIWs.
That's almost half. It really goes to show how the NIW is becoming the go-to option for so many people who want to get a green card through their work. And it's not just limited to a handful of industries either. The report says that Journey has worked on NIW applications from like 400 different industries.
Wow, that's amazing. It just shows you how the NIW is becoming the go-to option for skilled professionals from every background, not just the typical tech fields you might imagine. And that's just part one of what we've uncovered.
There's so much more to explore.
So we're back. And, we've already seen that the U.S. immigration sector is booming. But now I'm kind of curious to see what's happening at a more granular level.
Well, one of the things that makes this report so interesting is that it includes data from Journey's own client base.
Yeah.
So it's like we're getting a close-up look at what's actually happening.
Exactly. It's like a behind-the-scenes peek into this whole world. So what can you tell us about the types of industries that are attracting immigrants these days?
Well, when it comes to the EB2 NIW, we're seeing this really interesting shift. Fields like consulting and engineering are still major players. But there's this surge of applicants from a wider range of specialized fields.
Like what, for example?
We're seeing a lot of pilots, software publishers, logistics experts, even medical professionals are applying for NIWs. It seems like the NIW is attracting talent from a much broader spectrum of professions than ever before.
Yeah, that makes sense. You know, considering the NIW is all about showcasing your unique skills and how they can benefit the U.S., it's not tied to a specific industry, so it opens up opportunities for people with expertise in all sorts of areas.
Exactly. And if we look at the E2 visa landscape, consulting is still king, but e-commerce and software publishing are right behind it.
It seems like entrepreneurship is a major driving force behind immigration these days. It's inspiring to see so many people wanting to, build businesses and contribute to the American economy.
Absolutely. And for those interested in the L1 visa, the one for intercompany transfers, the report sends a clear message. The tech sector is still attracting global talent.
Yeah, we see that reflected in the top industries for L1 visas. Software, engineering, and IT services. It's almost like a talent pipeline flowing from all over the world right into the U.S. tech scene.
It makes you wonder about the impact of all these skilled professionals. Are they driving innovation? Are they leading to new job creation? Those are some interesting questions.
Yeah, definitely. Now, before we move on, I want to touch on the EB-5 investor program. You know, the one that allows foreign investors to get a green card by investing a significant amount of money? The report mentions that there have been some recent changes that have made this program more attractive to investors.
Yeah, it seems like those changes have really revitalized the EB-5 program.
Yeah.
We're seeing a noticeable increase in I-526 petitions, which is that first step in the EB-5 process. It looks like more investors are seeing this as a viable option.
It'll be interesting to see if that trend continues. So we've talked about industries and visa types, but I'm curious about one more piece of the puzzle. Where are these immigrants choosing to settle? Where are they putting down roots?
Well, according to Journey's data, there's one state that stands out as a clear favorite across multiple visa types: Florida.
Florida, that's interesting. What do you think is drawing so many people to the Sunshine State?
Well, it could be a combination of things. Maybe it's the business-friendly climate that Florida is known for. Or maybe it's the growing tech scene in places like Miami and Orlando.
It could be the lifestyle. Florida has those beautiful beaches, warm weather, and it's relatively affordable compared to other parts of the country.
That's a good point. It seems like Florida has a lot to offer, both personally and professionally, which would make it a really attractive destination. Now, remember how we were talking about the rise of the NIW earlier?
Yeah, that was definitely one of the biggest trends we saw in the report.
But well, Journey's data reveals something else that's pretty interesting. Over 70% of their NIW clients were actually coming from South America.
Wow, that's a lot. It seems like South American professionals are increasingly setting their sights on the U.S., and they're using the NIW as a way to build successful careers here.
It's a good reminder that immigration trends are always evolving. And, we're seeing these new patterns emerge all the time. It also underscores the global reach of the U.S. immigration system. It really does attract talent from every corner of the world.
Yeah, it's been a fascinating exploration so far, but we've only scratched the surface. So, what do all these trends mean for the future of U.S. business immigration? What challenges and opportunities are out there?
Those are some great questions. And those are exactly the kind of questions that we're going to tackle in the final part of our deep dive.
Okay, so we're back for the final part of our deep dive into these U.S. business immigration trends. We've uncovered a ton of insights from this Journey report, but now I think it's time to kind of step back and look at the bigger picture here. What does all this mean for the future of business immigration in the U.S.?
That's the million-dollar question, right? We've seen all the numbers. We've talked about the trends. But what are the implications moving forward? What challenges and opportunities are we looking at?
Yeah, exactly. We talked about the immigration sector just booming, hitting $8.7 billion in revenue in 2023. But is this growth sustainable? Can it keep going like this?
That's a really good question. The report does highlight a few things that are driving this surge, like the economic recovery after COVID, the huge demand for skilled workers, and the popularity of certain visas like the NIW.
Yeah.
But those things can change.
So it's not like a guaranteed upward trend. There could be some roadblocks along the way.
Yeah, exactly. Economic conditions can change. Immigration policies can be adjusted. Even global events can have an impact. It's a really dynamic landscape, and we need to be ready for potential shifts.
Which makes it even more important to stay informed, right? To really understand these trends.
Oh, absolutely. Reports like this one from Journey are so valuable. because they give us a snapshot of what's happening right now and help us think about those challenges and opportunities that might be coming.
Okay, so let's talk about one of the biggest trends we've been discussing, the rise of the NIW. It's clearly changing the game for employment-based immigration, and it seems likely to have a long-lasting impact. But what does it actually mean for individuals and businesses?
Well, for people with advanced degrees and specialized skills, the NIW offers a much smoother path to getting a green card. Remember how we were talking about that PRM labor certification process? It can be a real pain.
Yeah, it's a huge obstacle for a lot of people.
The NIW lets people skip that step completely, saving them a lot of time and headaches.
So it's a win-win for everyone. Skilled professionals get to work in the U.S., and businesses get to attract the best talent from around the world.
Exactly. Businesses get access to this global pool of highly qualified people who can help them grow and innovate.
And we can't forget about those other visa categories we talked about, like the E2, the L1, and the EB5. Each program has a specific purpose and is designed for different types of immigrants.
Yeah, you're right. The E2 is for entrepreneurs who want to invest in U.S. businesses. The L1 is for those intracompany transfers. And the EB5 is for investors looking to get a green card by investing a significant amount of capital.
It's like there are multiple paths for people to contribute to the economy and build a life here.
Definitely. But it's important to remember that these programs have their own challenges and uncertainties, too. Processing times can be long, the requirements are complex, and immigration policies can always change.
So it's crucial for both individuals and businesses to stay up to date on everything that's happening in the world of immigration.
Absolutely. And that's another reason why reports like this one are so helpful. They give us insights and guidance to navigate this complex system.
We've covered a lot of ground today, from visa trends and industry hotspots to all the changes in employment-based immigration. But as we wrap up, I want to leave our listeners with one final thought.
We've spent a lot of time talking about what's happening now. But the truth is, the future of U.S. business immigration is always a little uncertain. There will be new challenges and new opportunities, and the landscape will continue to evolve.
So what can people do to stay ahead of the curve?
Well, the most important thing is to stay informed. Read reports like this one, talk to immigration experts, and make sure you're aware of any changes to policies. Be adaptable. The immigration process can be unpredictable, so be ready to adjust if you need to.
Good advice.
And don't be afraid to ask for help. There are so many resources out there to help you through the process, whether you're an individual or a business.
Immigration is definitely a complex and ever-changing field. But with the right knowledge and support, individuals and businesses can navigate it successfully. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the world of U.S. business immigration.
And if you want to learn even more, be sure to check out the full report on Journey's website. Until next time.